I had a stretch session yesterday.
Ah,
I came across this new business in town. Hi, Greg.
Hey guys, how you doing?
It's
Michael?
called it's called Stretch Lab. You know Michael, right?
mhm.
It's called Stretch Lab, and so I thought, hey, I'll try it. So I went down to this place, and it's very interesting. I mean, it's kind of like a massage session. They got about 8 tables or something in there, and they have a few of these stretch experts, right? And this gal that uh, has been working with me now for 3 sessions. She looks like she weighs about 90 pounds. She's really kind of small. And, but she knows her stuff. She teaches yoga, she teaches Pilates, and I'm not sure if she's a massage therapist or not. But anyway, she's a certified sort of stretch person, right? So she knows all the anatomy and everything. Here comes Naomi. She knows all the anatomy and all the muscles and all that stuff, which is what you want. And so the first thing you do, they have some software in there. You stand in front of the screen and you do a squat and you put your hands over your head and stuff. Hey, Naomi.
Hey, just stopping in for a few minutes.
Great. Good to see you.
Michael. Hey, Greg.
I'm just about finished editing the session from last week. So, or no, I guess it's 2 weeks ago now. I was gonna try and get it up before today, but I didn't get it finished. But I'll do it in the next day or so. So just talking about this stretch session that I had yesterday. And so what they do is, over the years, I've thought about doing yoga, right? Like I've said to myself numerous times, I need to start doing some yoga. But really what I meant was I need to stretch. I need to get my shoulders, my back, my hips, my groin area. I need to get that a little bit more loose, right? Well, that's exactly what these stretch sessions do. But you don't do any work. You just lie there and the person takes your leg and sort of moves it a little bit, and then takes your or shoulder maybe and moves it a little bit. So there's absolutely no pain. There's no exercise really. And she just finds the place where it's like tight, and then she just sort of stretches it just very gently. But what I find is that the next day, like today, I woke up, and everything was sore, right? I mean, I felt like I'd been pumping iron for an hour, and all I was doing was lying on this bench. But of course, because they're stretching these very specific muscles, it probably does the same kind of damage, I suppose, to the muscle that lifting iron, pumping iron does, because it kind of stretches the muscle. But it's very interesting, and it's very relaxing to have it done. And it actually feels good to have my back and my hips and my arms, a little sore, because I realize that, hey, I'm doing something positive, right? It's a franchise. I don't know how many they have around. I think they have 100 or something in North America. So there may be one where close to where you guys live, but I'd highly recommend you give it a try. It's very interesting. It's called Stretch Lab.
We have one right around the corner, I think. I should check it out.
Oh, it's very interesting. Yeah, if it's a stretch lab, I would strongly suggest you give it a shot.
Yeah. Hey, Naomi, I wanted to mention, is that an Australian Shepherd?
Yes.
Oh, he heard
Yeah,
you.
beautiful. I have one of my customers has a
Oh,
litter
yeah.
right now. They made a mistake. They didn't get the dog fixed, so they have
Oh,
so they have a surprise litter. But she was mentioning she lives in Las Vegas. I was like, oh, those are beautiful dogs, and the colors are the same. I guess it's black and white with
yeah.
brown feet. But
Yep.
what's your friend's name there?
Her name is Nellie.
Nellie. She's beautiful. Those are
Yeah.
such a great dog. They have high energy. Cattle dogs are herding dogs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's too much energy if they're not well trained around the cattle and the horses. She gets
Uh-huh.
in trouble a lot.
I
So,
bet. So you gotta wear her out, huh?
yeah,
She's
We have one
cute.
of those too.
Oh, do
that's
you
what
have
I
a same
thought.
Yeah, we
dog?
have an Australian Shepherd and or sheepdog, whatever they're called, and she's the same. I mean, she runs like the wind. We have a golden retriever too, and she can run faster than the retriever. And she's got so much energy, but because of our situation here, she's kind of stuck in the house a lot. So she needs a lot more exercise. But my son takes them out once or twice a day, and they have a chance to run around. But she's like you mentioned, Naomi, she's always pointing the cat, she's looking at the cat and she's kind of teasing the cat. It's like it's built into her genes.
Oh yeah,
As
yeah,
soon as
oh
she
for
sees
sure.
something, she wants to hurt it.
Yeah, they
You let the
circle it
cat
and
out.
stuff like that.
You
Yeah.
let the cat outside, and when it comes back in, she won't let it in. She's like, you know.
Will
But
she
I'll
chase
tell-
a ball?
What's that?
Yeah, she chases a ball. She chases and yeah,
My
she,
brother's got one of those the little atlas where you throw it and it goes so
yep.
far, like a football field almost. And his dog is a herding dog too, and he wears her
Oh,
out with that. It sounds like she's thundering when she runs. She's got this. His
yeah,
dog is real
That
yeah,
stout like
apple,
us.
right?
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Well, you
The-
guys have a Merry Christmas, and so hopefully you have a fun week planned, and we're having company. Our Texas crew is coming home, so
Great.
that'll be fun. So hopefully we can catch you next Saturday. I think I don't think they'll be here by then, so they'll
Pick
be
'em
either
up.
on the road back home. So
Well,
anyway,
thanks
so
for
good to
popping
see
in.
you.
Yeah, great
Yep,
to see you, Naomi.
Happy
yep.
holiday.
Take care.
Have a great
Yep, same
Christmas.
to you.
Okay.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, Christmas. Hardly feels like it.
Another year gone by, huh?
Another year, yeah. I guess this is the solstice, right? This is the shortest day of the year.
Was it today?
I think so, the 21st of February or 21st of December. I think it's the solstice.
Interesting. Michael, you grew a beard.
Yeah,
Was that
grew
always
a
there?
beard, got a haircut, got to get another haircut, keeping the hair short, growing a beard, just changing my look.
Looks good. I like
Yeah,
you. Either
yeah.
way, you look a good looking guy. I mean, it's cool. What are you up to?
Oh, yeah. Who wants to check in? What's going on? Who wants to go first? Who's on first?
Michael, you take the deck.
Yeah, you say, what are you up to? I always say, I'd like to be up to 5'9", but
Oh, we have
it's interesting. I was
we have a
5'8".
stranger. We have a stranger coming in here.
Who's
Oh.
that? Jess?
Let's see. Look to see what your comment was, Michael, by the way.
Hey, stranger.
Hi,
How are you
Hey,
doing?
wow.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. A long
Very
time
I
good.
no
had
see.
some time today, so I thought I'd come and say hi for a change.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Wow.
fantastic. You just missed Naomi. She was here a minute ago, but she's got family, so she just came in to say hi and then she left. So how are you doing, Jessica?
That's where I'm headed to, but I don't have to be there till 1, so
Oh, good.
I'm doing excellent. How are you guys?
Great.
I don't know, with that smile and that energy you have, I'm not quite feeling that.
Come on, Michael, you got it in you. I know you do.
Yes, I do.
So we're just having a bit of a check-in here. So Michael, you were going to go?
Well, is Jess leaving? Is Jess staying for a while, or would she like to check in?
Oh, I'll be here for like an hour. I'm good.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. I haven't been coming to the meetings too often. I was just wondering where you were, because every time I come, I don't see you, but I do see you on Facebook, so it's nice to see you. Likewise,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Yeah, it's interesting times. I had a really good men's circle on Wednesday, and then a good nice talk with Anthony yesterday or a couple of days ago. Yeah, interesting time. It's going through some stuff as I mentioned. Um, the acting auditions were great. I did a lot of auditions out there. Got some callbacks, but wasn't getting any commercials, and I was getting a bit frustrated. And while I was doing that, I had to have cataract surgery. That took a month off. Then I had some other eye surgery. That took a month off. And then my mom was not doing well. I visited her for a while, took time off, and then she transitioned. So I was, took a lot of time off in between, going out there and doing auditions. So I was getting a bit frustrated and then had a talk with my agent, and it would seem that all the men that are getting the commercials, the senior men that are getting the commercials, all have shorter hair, clean cut, and some with or without beards. And so she said, "I know you got a great head of hair. Do you love your hair? Can you get it cut?" I said, "Sure, I can get it cut. I don't, I like my hair." So I got it cut, and while I was convalescing with some eye surgery, I grew a beard. Sent her a photo, and she said, "Yeah, it looks good. I like the look." And then she says, "Well, agents with people with guys with facial hair, they also like to see photos of you with clean shaven." So okay, so I get a photographer, I get photos with my beard, shave it off, and then photos clean shaven, looks good, and then grew the beard back. So, but at the end of the year, it slowed down, so I'm waiting till next year to get back and get some traction out there and just see what's going. I'm not in a position where I just want to give up and quit right now. There's an opportunity, and I feel excited about it. I know the business. I've been here before when I was younger, and 15 years ago, and I'm willing to keep doing that. And during the process, time off, I was substitute teaching kids again, which was great. Public speaking, I really enjoyed that. I'm good at that, and being in the presence of these young, brilliant minds, showing up and sharing their voices, I find is it brings me a lot of joy. So that's pretty cool. So what happens there is, as I'm sitting here, not working, not generating income, I do have some savings that I'm sort of using at this time, which is good. I question, what do I really want to do? Is why, what's my why? Why do I want to, go through this whole process auditioning for commercials and not getting it, not making money? I mean, what's my reason behind that? And then the other side, when I teach, it brings me great joy. I get great passion. I'm good at it. But there's a side of me that says, is that what I really want to do? So I'm right at this position right now and try, what do I really want to do? That's a question I've been dealing with my whole life. What do I want to do when I grow up? So that's where I'm at right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with it because I have so much time on my hands. And when I have so much time on my hands, and I'm a bit of a loner, I isolate a lot, not in a negative way. I get caught up in that mind stuff. And so I'm in that kind of transition. And then so what's happening is I'm not feeling good about myself. So I've become a couch potato, and I'm enjoying eating too much, putting on a bit of weight, all this kind of stuff that I know about. And so again, it's Michael, you got your Peloton right here. You haven't been on your Peloton for a while. You haven't been to the gym for a while. So, what's going on? Are you allowing yourself to be here? And then I question, okay, it's okay. It is where I'm at, and that's okay. I'm giving myself permission to feel it. If this is where the situation, okay, just be in it, and what am I learning from it, and and move forward through it. So yeah, so I'm okay. I still have that excitement. I still feel excited about life, and what I'm here. I've been here before. I've been past years where you're going through financial situations and you work through it, and it works out. Welcome to my journey. So that's sort of where I'm at. Interesting, speaking of dogs, we took on we got a we share a dog, and Noelle, she's a Boston Terrier pug. She's a little about a year and a bit over, but she's aggressive. She's got anxiety. She freaks out, and she's very protective. And so we have to be careful. You know, Jenny's like for instance, Jenny's on the bed, and if the dog's on there with Jenny, and I come in the bedroom, she gets aggressive. She wants to protect Jenny, and you know she'll bite you if you go towards her. Well, a situation just happened today. Jenny's on the bed, and I'm going in the room to get something from the room, and the dog's behind me. Well, the dog comes in and attacks me. You know, a vicious little mutt. And so that was sort of freaked me out because, you know, this is what she is, and we have to watch her triggers. But I was really quite upset with that. It's sort of, you know, like, God, why did I make the decision to take on a puppy if this is what it's all about? So that's just an added a little thing there. So I go, gee, my life has changed. I'm not as free as I can be. I can't just get up and go out the door and go for coffee or a walk. I got this dog to look after, you know. Oh, I'd be a great parent. So that's basically it. I'm still smiling, you know. You know, I feel good. I feel okay, but it's just what I'm going through right now. There she be.
Great. Thanks.
A question on the dog front, because I'm a big dog guy, and you ever watch Cesar Millan? I don't know if you ever watched Dog Whisperer.
Yeah.
I know one of the things is I don't know if Jenny admonishes the dog strongly, but a lot of times if you let him know, he may be protecting her.
Well, it is that. It is the protection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of times if she aggressively, they always say if the dog's at a 5, you have to be at a 6.
Yeah.
So if she's at a higher level and admonishes. I know people that will grab the dog and hug the dog, for example, when that happens, and it's kind of coddling them to, kind of reinforcing that they're doing it right, rather than, get off the bed, tell the dog to get off the bed or settle down or something. But anyway, just a thought. I don't know if that's, I think he would kind of counsel that way possibly, but
Yeah, we've had we got a trainer.
Oh, you
We
did?
take we have we go for reactive dogs, so we know what the triggers are. It's just I think she was taken away from the mother too early, and when they're taken away from the mothers too early, they can have this kind of behavior. We're committed to the dog. We made the choice. I made the choice to say yes. So doing what we need to do to work with it. It hasn't come to the point yet where you have to make another decision what you want to do, but it is sort of it is frustrating. It wasn't quite exactly what I was expecting.
we brought in a person, an outsider, with our dog we had many years ago, and he was doing the same thing. It was like a border collie, little wiener dog border collie mix, and he was aggressive. And we brought this trainer in. The minute she walked in the door, he stopped. Like it was weird. Her presence was such, and then she put a leash on it that kind of pulls down in the front. When you pull the cord, drives the dog's chest a little bit towards the ground, and it's not harmful or anything. It's not with big teeth or anything. It just was a regular cord. But boy, he settled down, and he never was bad afterwards. It was amazing. I mean, we brought her in for like I don't know, $70, $150, something like that, and from then on, he was a good dog. I was like, wow, what were we doing wrong? And it was just kind of amazing to see an outsider change it. But we've had a lot of fun with dogs in our life, but we have a golden retriever still. But anyways, enough of that. With what I'm going through, I guess for me, I'm kind of in the I don't know. I guess the time travel mode a little bit. It seems like I've been waking up late at night or middle of the night with a lot of, I don't know, ruminations is the right word, but mental images that come clear. I get clarity a lot of times early in the morning, or I'll see big patterns, kind of where I can step back from my life or step back or see kind of pathways, which is really kind of fulfilling. I mean, frankly, I had. I think Anthony mentioned using our mind as a time machine in some ways, and I really feel like I'm enjoying that. I mean, it's pretty cheap, right? You might say it's kind of a form of daydreaming in some way, but I've really enjoyed it. I mean, looking at the different ways I'm generating emotion, for one, and different ways that I'm remembering things in my past or things that I've been fortunate to experience. I feel like it's a really rich background I have. Unfortunately, I've had a pretty good life. I've had some things that have gone wrong along the way, but a lot of it has been blessed with a lot of really good people in my life and good experiences. So remembering them, for example, is just kind of, kind of neat. I know when Anthony was saying he was trying to remember good things that happened in his life, but by focusing on that a little bit, I feel very fortunate. So I've been thinking about, when I was in grade school and high school and past friends and things like that, and trying to imagine a little bit what I want the future to be, if that makes sense. I think some of those things are good. I've been trying to focus a little bit on, likewise, my attention. And I feel like I know what to do with a lot of things. Sometimes I just get distracted and don't do that. Don't stay on the path to certain goals or get too spread out. But I feel pretty prepared. I'm doing pretty well in a lot of areas. There's some real challenging areas of people, in life right now at times. And so I feel I'm navigating those pretty well. So, I mean, I just kind of enjoying the end of the year here, trying to set forth the next quarter or next half year what I want to do. Um, I think of some of the things like you're talking about, like acting or writing, or those are things that would be really nice to have in my life. Something like writing, or side business or something like that. I'm pretty busy at my work, so I don't have a lot. But my kids are getting older, so I'm having a little bit of time. So I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to get involved in or what I don't. Um, this medium is kind of neat. Even doing stuff online. I know my sister works for an online university, so like being able to be online opens up geography. In terms of Zoom coaching or participate as a teacher. I mean, there's great possibilities in terms of doing that weren't there before. And I've been playing a little bit around with AI. I've been learning about AI, which is kind of an interesting area. I've been using some of the tools, even in my personal life, to put together meal planning and stuff like that, which is pretty unique. But it's kind of what's going on with me.
Great.
How old are your kids, Greg?
They're 17 and 21.
Both at home?
Yeah, which is nice. But they keep you busy, particularly with the holidays. They have their friends in and stuff like that. So there's a lot to incorporate. But the gifts and stuff. I mean, they tell you what they want. A lot of times it's money, stuff like that. So I mean, even this time of year, it's pretty simple. Money, like okay, like I'll give you some money. Like shopping's done, but anyways. Jessica, you're up next with your life, or I don't know.
Sure, I'll go.
Oh,
I think lots has
oh.
changed. Oh, I think lots has changed since I saw you guys last. My main focus has been more with corporate training, and so working with some of the local construction agencies over the past few months. Kind of started in April. I made some contacts through people that I've known because I've been in the industry for so long, and that turned out to be really great. And working with two of them for sure. One of them still kind of putting the final touches on some things. But I did a webinar back in the beginning of December for the ECA, which is Electrical Contractors Association. So that was super fun, and got some really good contacts through that, some good feedback. And I started a new podcast with all of that information that I want to share. Kind of my new favorite quote, or my new favorite mantra, or my new favorite way of moving through my life is agency is taken, not given. So I thought, you know what, I can't rely on these people to promote me. I can't, put all my eggs in their basket. I have to decide for myself how I want to represent myself. And so I thought the easiest way for me, because I've done it so much in the past, is podcasting. And so I started a podcast to vet myself so that when my name, when they do promote my programs and whatnot through their community, that when they go to look me up, which a lot of people have started to do, there's content there that's relevant. So they can vet me through that. And so now I have some interviews lined up with people in the industry, and I see 2025 being a whole lot of fun. So, and then I started applying, Michael, to your point about public speaking, and Anthony knows this as well. My sister is like an agent for public speakers, and she has a lot of contacts. So she's been sending me places to apply. And so, again, putting myself out there down in the US for potential speaking opportunities and all the different, yeah, exactly. They pay well. Greg, your money's good. Your money's
Good.
good.
We'll send you some money. Send me a list and I'll see if I can get you out
Yeah.
there.
So that's kind of been my focus. Plus, I reinvigorated my Let's Hike group. So every Saturday and Sunday, we've been doing the Coquitlam Crunch, Michael, every Saturday morning. It sucks really badly, but I do it anyways. Kind of that stoic philosophy of like do hard things.
What
Is
time
that
on
If
is that
you,
a
Saturday
mountain
morning?
or what is that?
it's stairs.
What
It
time?
starts out as stairs. It's like 457 or something stairs, and then it's kind of like you're going like a switchback with these roads, and so there's like four sections. The first part is stairs, and then there's another three sections that are just a trail, but it's all incline. And so it kicked my ass pretty hard the first little while, but I'm getting better. People that I've been doing it with have seen that I'm moving faster. I'm not completely out of breath. I don't feel like I want to die halfway up. So it's really helped just increase my stamina and lung capacity and all that sort of stuff. And then then more for social, we go out to Campbell Valley and Langley every Sunday. And then we were doing something during the week, but then when the time changed and it got dark, so then one of the ladies found a track that has lights. So we've been doing that. And so yes, keeping pretty active. Yeah, it's great to have a community that's well, probably Dana, she's probably more committed to it than I am. So she pushes me, which is great. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. And then I mean I changed my hair, I got a whole new look going on. So yeah, lots of fun stuff.
Great.
Yeah,
Still bringing
Fantastic.
the joy. Bringing the joy.
always, everywhere I go, baby. See me? I mean, I can't even sit still. I'm just like amped up all the time. And then I redid this room. So this is now my new little, I call it my womb room. My sister gave it that name. She says, because it's where creativity happens. So it's like, you create things in the womb room. So that's what this
great.
is all about. Yeah.
Looks
So yeah,
nice.
lots of good stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're always busy. I mean, I follow you on Facebook. I guess maybe we all do. And
Super busy.
every time I see you, you're out hiking with a bunch
Yeah.
of people, or something. So
Yeah.
that's great.
I like
Yeah,
it.
the social interaction, even this group here, this is very meaningful for me, and I'm sure for all of us too. Otherwise, we wouldn't keep showing up. The social interaction is so important, either in person or even online. Like Michael and I both belong to this men's group. We meet every 2 weeks online. And it's just a bunch of guys. We just hang out for an hour or two online, same as this. But it's great. It gives me a lot of positive connection, the oxytocin kind of a thing, which is what you get from connections, whether it's a dog or a cat or a person too, very important neurochemical. Talking about, Michael was talking about, he thinks his dog was separated from the mother too early, right? And I nearly said, who hasn't? Who hasn't been? And I remember, now this might be my earliest memory. It's certainly, well, I have a memory of England, and I left England when I was about 20 months old. So that might be my earliest memory, but it's a very fuzzy kind of a fleeting sort of a thing. But when I went to England last year and visited the house that I was born in, it confirmed that memory. I mean, I wouldn't be able to convince a jury maybe, but it certainly confirmed to me that memory was valid, But I remember another one where when I grew up, I was one of 4 kids at this point. My parents had 6 kids, but at this point there were 4 of us, right? 2 older brothers, me, and a younger brother. And so I must have been feeling that I needed more of my mother's attention and couldn't quite get it. Wasn't getting enough, right? And I remember this one time, my mother was giving me a bath. And so I used to love the bath, right? Because this warm, soapy water, I'd sit there and it was like heaven. And then she would wash me and wash my hair. I'll tell you another interesting thing about that in just a minute. How I remembered this, actually. So I remember here I am in the bath, reveling in the fact that I have my mother's attention and she's massaging my head and washing my hair, and feeling just like totally in bliss, right? And then my mother says, "Oh, just a minute, I'll be back in a second." And she comes walking in with my younger brother, and she's suckling him on her boob, right? So I'm thinking, how old would he be? Well, he must have been like maybe 8 months, 10 months old, maybe, right? Well, he's just about 3 years younger than me, so I would have been like 3.5, less than 4 years old, probably. And I can remember when she went out and came back in and brought him in, and she was suckling him on her breast. I got pissed off, and I can remember to this day going, "Hey, that's mine. What are you doing giving it to him?" And not only that, but this is my time and he's invading my time with you, right? Now, it kind of blows my mind, but I can remember thinking that and feeling that, like I say, 3.5, less than 4 years old, probably, right? So maybe we were all separated too early. We didn't get enough attention, right? Because I remember at around that age and even later, trying to figure out how to get my mother's attention was a big thing, because with 6 kids, eventually she had 6 kids in the house, and it was like, hey, where do I fit? How do I fit into this menagerie? But I'll tell you how I remembered this, and this is a mind blower. I had a girlfriend, and she had just given birth to our son, and our son was about, I think he was a year old, something like that. And she found this other guy, she started cheating on me with this other guy. And that was, I was going to say it was a shock, but in actual fact, it wasn't a shock, because this was her pattern, right, from before. So I wasn't totally surprised, but what I was really disappointed that she did that, right? And I felt really hurt for a long time afterwards too. But at any rate, at the time I was attending this workshop, right? I think it was called The Pursuit of Excellence. Has anybody heard of that?
Done it.
For a while, it was a very popular thing, right? A lot of people were doing it. So anyway, I was doing this workshop. And so at some point, the guy who was leading it said, "Does anybody have an issue?" This was sort of like a guided meditation or something like that, right? And he was saying, if you have an issue in a relationship or, whatever, close your eyes, think about it, like that. And so I was thinking about this girlfriend of mine. And the guy who was leading this said, if you could say something, or if you could ask this person something, what would you want? What would you want them to do or say or whatever, right? And I remember thinking, I want her to wash my hair. And that blew my mind, right? Because like I was, at this time I was 30, no, 40. I was 40. And I thought, what? Wash my hair? What is that? Where did that come from? Well, when I thought about it, that led me to this memory of being in the bath, right? And I realized, isn't that amazing? That's what I wanted from this woman. I wanted her to love me, right? And love, certainly at 3 years old, it meant washing my hair, But that blew my mind to realize that was still in there after all these years, because I had totally forgot about it. I mean, I had not thought about this ever, And it was only when this phrase popped out, if you could ask her to do anything, what would it be? And I thought, I want her to wash my hair, And so that led me down this path of figuring out and remembering this bathtub experience, quite amazing, I think. We've talked about this a number of times on these calls here, how these past experiences, they're still there. They still trigger us, I mean, this was totally unconscious on my part. I mean, when I first had this thought, I wanted to wash my hair. I thought, what is that? That makes no sense. And later I realized, that's what it is, right? I wanted her to love me, same as I wanted my mother to love me, and that was washing my hair. That's when I felt totally loved. Sitting in some warm, soapy water and having her wash my hair. I mean, that was heaven to me. Still is, as a matter of fact. But certainly when I was, 3 years old, that was like, this is heaven. Having my mother's full attention, washing my hair, sitting in this warm, soapy bathtub. Man, it doesn't get any better than this,
Well, you sharing that story, I mean, what it is when you're experiencing that right now, I mean, how are you feeling? You're in the bathtub. It reminds me of the same thing. I grew up in a family, there wasn't a lot of affection, there wasn't a lot of hugging, wasn't a lot of I love you and that. Yet I remember vividly when I'm in grade 1, I had a cold and not feeling well, and my mom was rubbing Vicks on my chest, and I felt so safe and so close to my mom at that time. And that's the one moment that really comes up for me. And when I go back there and feel that, I feel loved and I feel taken care of. And it's just a nice feeling that I'm experiencing. So it's the same thing as you're saying, go back and think about your successes and all these things rather than about your failures. So find those moments, past moments that you cherished, that were very
right. Yeah,
meaningful for you.
That's exactly right. So I call them past successes, but they
Yeah.
aren't necessarily past successes. I mean, they're past good feelings,
Experiences.
past
Yeah.
good times, right? Yeah, that's exactly right. Like one of the things that I remembered about my mom, because for a long time I couldn't remember anything positive about my mom. It was all negative, because we had a lot of conflict as I was growing up, certainly in my teens, like a lot of people, you don't get along great with your parents. And so at one point, I made a list of things, experiences with my mom, or times with my mom when I really felt loved, which I would recommend to everybody, make a list like this, right? But one of the things I remembered when I used to go to school, so I'd be, 5 or 6 years old, right? And my mother used to iron me a shirt. Now, who irons shirts these days? Probably nobody, right? But anyway, she used to iron me a shirt so that I could go to school with a freshly ironed shirt, right? And I can remember, getting back to what you just mentioned, Michael, the feeling of putting on that freshly ironed warm shirt, and feeling like, man, this is fantastic, warm, freshly ironed shirt that my mother just ironed for me, talk about feeling loved and protected and looked after. That's a great memory. And so I thought of, 6 or 8 of those times, right? And it really shifted my feelings around my mom, because now when I think about my mother, those are the kind of things that come up, the positive times.
I think, I totally agree. It's the same thing. I never had a really good relationship with my father. There's a lot of stuff there, my own trauma with him. And yet when I think of my father now, I think of all the good times with him, or the times when I was really proud of him and respect, rather than going thinking about all the shit. I mean, because it doesn't make me feel good thinking about it. So I just remember all those times. It may not be many, but they were there. So why not embrace that, Why not feel good?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I did the same thing with my dad. I made a list of positive memories of him, right? Because like you, I didn't have any at first, right? Now, the thing, this is the way that I explain it, right? There's an expression I heard before. Well, I think when I was in university, it was about memories. And it says memories are state specific, which is very interesting, right? So like when you're in a happy mood, you can remember happy memories. But if you don't have any happy memories, then you don't have access to those memories. If you're angry with your parents and that's what you feel, then you're not going to remember the happy times because the anger blocks it, right? It's like a filter. Mm-hmm. So that's how I felt for a long time. Anytime I thought about my parents, basically it was just anger, frustration, lack of communication. That's what came up. And it took me quite a while, actually, to, start making that list of positive times with my parents. But one of the things that I remembered from my dad was he said to me, it doesn't matter what it is that you have to do. Anything that you do, anything that you are working on, the more you do it, the easier it gets. Even something simple like washing your car, the more you do it, you develop an easier little format to do it, right? And so I thought about that for a long time. And of course, it's exactly true. And when I think about the magic of spaced repetition, that's exactly what he was talking about. It's like, it doesn't matter what you do it over and over and over and over again. And pretty quickly, you'll figure out an easier and a better way to do it. So that was a pretty profound piece of advice from him that was very meaningful to me. It still is meaningful. So that's on my, my dad loved me list. Right?
Well, it's, one of the things that and I'm glad you brought it up because it kind of reminds me of this, and it's something I've got to focus on more, is that I was looking at the patterns of my life and how I'm, I mentioned enjoying some of my past memories, but in hearing you guys talk, it allowed me to process a little bit that, how do you create a problem? Well, there's a process to create a problem. You have maybe unmet expectations, or, it's kind of like it's an inner space place. If you will. You have an expectation, it's not met, you get frustrated. And if you do that all day, you'll be upset all day. You'll have problem relationships, you'll have a problem day, you'll be unhappy. There's ways to become unhappy. With, kind of looking at this mind, time, and power in the inner space, it gives you a lot of power. You're like, I don't want to be unhappy all day. I don't want to be, I can be just as happy, or I can have my met expectations growing through gratitude and appreciation, or I can spend all day long being disappointed and grumpy and, disease, have disease. You want to have disease? Be uneasy all the time, right? And so, I'm seeing my ability to change that and saying, look, this is all a creation that you're making. And, what kind of life are you making for yourself? I mean, no one can stop you. if you want to make it uneasy, have at it. And so I think that that's a big lesson for me to learn at this age. And you'll create a lot of unease with other people. And how are you living? I mean, do they want to be around you when you do that? I mean, it's like it's great when you leave the room, I mean, type of thing. But so those are choices I have, and it's like no one can make you angry but yourself. I mean, I think visceral reactions for anger can be understandable, if you're in threat or in danger, but this fight or flight all the time, making everything or a lot of things be so contentious or unhappy, that's your choice. Kind of like Scrooge, I think you were talking about, or the Christmas Past that you were talking about on that. He's choosing to live that life. He changed his life, and all of a sudden he's spreading candy everywhere he goes, and helping out the orphans, and kind of living this Mary Poppins type of life. In contrast, after he's done, it's pretty powerful. I mean, I watched a guy at work, and he came in, and he was giving everybody cookies that he and his wife had made, and he was giving bottles of booze to some of the managers and operations staff, and he did very well this year. He was quite a good salesman. He's a young guy. And I thought, wow, what a way to be. And so I went out and did a little more of it. I went and got some gift cards and stuff like that, gave them to a couple friends, and, lived with a prosperity mindset. I'm like, look, I can be that guy. I can bring the joy, versus bringing the dirge. Because, I think relationships are a big thing. If you have a lot of problems in your relationships, I know, like with the family members, we're solving the day-to-day problems sometimes. But maybe even that language is incorrect. Maybe it's having successes all day long. And I think that the way we talk to ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat others, I think is a choice. Then we forget it. So it was nice hearing you kind of elicit that. I mean, I see that as a space in inner time, like a bad neighborhood, is an analogy that makes sense to me. Don't go to bad neighborhoods. Don't go where you don't want to be. And I'm trying to remember that more often.
Thank you, Greg. It values the power of the sharing, and if I'm alone and just in my own mind, it's like it's a bad neighborhood. I don't want to go in alone. But when I'm in a group like this or with someone out sharing this, hearing you share it, I have the power of choice, and it's really easy to choose and to do. He's got to do it. So here you sharing that, it's in a sense, it's how do I say it? It's just a reminder how easy that is, the power of choice to change and to make that shift.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, that's Anthony's talked about it a few times. We get together sometimes, just the two of us, and you're kind of creating a third energy from the group. It's like you're bouncing ideas off of each other, and it's bringing your attention, your focus to an idea, and you say, "Oh my gosh, I'm doing that totally wrong. I'm totally missing the boat. I'm not self-aware. I jump back 30,000 feet, and all of a sudden, like, there it is. You're like, what am I doing? I'm beating my head against the wall." It's like, wow, what a misery, you're creating out of this situation. And it's just, like an Achilles heel or, a problem that you're not seeing with lack of self-awareness or consciousness. And you're like, look, there's a different way to do this. But sometimes hearing you two talk, I'm like, wow, I'm doing part of that. I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm not doing the last segment right. I'm so close. I feel like I'm so close to a lot of these things. It can be, I remember telling you a story, I think, I used to go see a psychologist, and I would sit down and say, life is so hard. He says, yours is. And he used to piss me off. I'd say, why are you saying that? I'm like, he's like, yours is. And he's like, implying that obviously, and I'm thinking, okay, well, they must have awful good situations. I'm making an excuse for myself. And he's saying, no, that ain't it, buddy. I mean, he's like, that isn't it. They have no different situations than you do. It rains on all of us. It's just they're approaching it differently. And, I was slowly getting it, but it peeved me when he would say that. And, after all these years, I'm like, I think I get what he was saying, and because you can't solve it when you're blaming somebody else, right? Blaming God, blaming the world, peeved off, disappointed in the hardships, people passing away or people getting sick, and why woe's me? Why did this happen to me? Why did it have to be my friend? Why did it? you know, it's like you can't solve it from there. And it is neat to see this. I mean, I really appreciate this forum. It's what a beautiful day and age that we can be talking. I mean, I'm like, I talked to some friends. I have a friend that was trying to help, but I'm like, I have friends in a different country that I talk to weekly that help me live my life in a positive way. And you could do it too. Oh, I could never do that. You can do that. I said, no, you could do it too. I mean, you could do it with us if you wanted, right? But I mean, it's like there's a lot of mediums. Oh, I could never find a job. Well, the world is flat. You have a cell phone, you can work. You can start a business, podcast, whatever. I mean, oh, I could never do that. Well, if you don't see the possibilities, you will never pursue them. But
Yes, right on.
I guess that's a cone of possibility, right? Yeah, that's one of the things I guess I've been spending some time in, is what I'm saying, is the cone of possibility. It's only as big as I perceive. Now, it's a little confusing when you start making it really big because there's all these choices. Do I want to do a podcast, or do I want to do a book, or do I want to do and you say, how can I get this all done? And then you look at other people that are doing a lot
You
and they're
want the
making it
answer?
look easy.
Can I give you my answer?
Yeah, yeah.
Write a book. And that goes for Michael and Jess too. Writing
Many, my friend.
writing a book, man, is one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And it really, number one, it's a great thing to do. And it shifts your self-image, it focuses your mind, it gives you a product, it gives you an identity. When I meet new people and I say, oh, I'm the author of this book, that changes people's perception of me right away. So yeah, write a book.
I like it.
My answer to that, Greg, would be yes and.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Why do you have to choose? Like, do it all.
Right.
Pick
Yeah,
one, focus on it, get it set up and go, and then do the next thing. There's no limit. You don't have to choose. So.
Well, I was just talking to somebody the other day. I said, do you want to play big or do you want to play small? And I was like, why am I choosing such a limited cone of possibility? It doesn't take more time. It takes different things. I mean, it's funny you say that with Anthony, with writing. I thought, when I talk, it's gone after I said it. But with the book, it's there for posterity, right? Here you go. This is what I think. Hand them the book. This is what I think. My kids, you want to know what I think? Here it is. Yeah. You invest your time. The monkey's on your back. It's off mine. That's just what I think. You want to know how I live life? This is it. You want to know how I'm doing something. And the advantage is it spans time, right? We know what I was thinking a lot. One of the things I was doing is ruminations. I was thinking, like we know what J.K. Rowling thinks. If you want to, she thought about a world that was beautiful, that a lot of people got a lot of joy out of. We know what J.R. Tolkien thought. We've watched movies and cinema productions and alternative worlds, and people wear clothing and go to parties that are Tolkien party. I mean, the geek, Gen Con or whatever. I mean, there's conventions where everybody gets together and dresses up like a character from any one of these realms. So it's actually changing the reality. It's like thoughts are a reality, right?
Yeah, well, you mentioned A Christmas Carol, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that movie, to me, that's like the perfect time travel movie. That's mental time travel in a nutshell. Here's a guy that gets visited by his past self, and he realizes he's made these decisions in his life, and that's what's created his life. And then he gets visited by his future self. Of course, they don't call that in the movie. They call it the ghost of, Christmas future, but it's the same deal, right? So he gets visited by his future self, and then he realizes, hey, I can change tracks. So that video that I made a couple of weeks ago that I think you've seen about, changing tracks, right? The railroad track. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a classic. It's only 7 minutes, but worth looking at.
Have they seen it? Do you guys know what he's talking about? Anthony put together a vignette video that I think is in the Messenger group. That's really
it's in the
very
Messenger
good.
group. So if you look at it, you'll see it. You'll see I put a link in there to it.
You put a new kind of.
But I've tweaked it a bit since then. I got some feedback from Phil and from drag, and I tweaked it just a little bit, but it's the same video. But it's basically, well, you can watch it, but it's my new focus now. It's kind of like my new way of describing what it is we're doing, you know. And the idea is, you wake up and you're on a train. The train's heading somewhere, and you go, what? How did I get here? Where am I going? And then you realize that, well, two things. You realize that, or at least somebody tells you, you don't get it at first. Well, the reason you're on this train is because you decided to be on this train. It's like, your life's hard? Yeah, your life is. You're on the hard train, right?
Wrong platforms.
And the other thing is, you can change trains. So that's how I think about what we're doing now. Because for years, for the last 3 years, we've been doing these calls here, and I've been struggling with a way of describing exactly what it is we're doing. And to me, this is it. This is the easy way to describe it. We've sort of woken up. We realize we're on this train. If it's going in a direction that you don't like, you can change trains. And so changing trains to me is like, oh, are your memories of your parents a 3 and a 4, and you want them to be an 8 and a 9 and a 10? You can change it. You can be on the, happy relationship with my parents track. I mentioned the other day, I was talking to somebody and I said, some of the best conversations I ever had with my dad have taken place after he died. I realized I could still talk to him, and he can still talk to me.
Yeah.
Now you might say, what's the point of that? Well, try it, try it out and see what happens. Watch that video. If you go to the, if you go to the messenger group, you'll see a link to it. That's it. That's it.
It's kind of funny. One of the places that was in my mind that I recognized as I was musing about this a little bit is that, I was thinking about places I haven't gone, like false memories, for example. Like I didn't have this discussion with my father, but what if I had? Which is kind of like the ghost of Christmas past or the Christmas future, or, but what is the ghost of Christmas past you didn't have? Which was maybe being really kind in the past. What would your life look like now? Or what if you had a great conversation with your father, but you can't because he's no longer there, or something like that. So now can you have that conversation? And some people would say it's delusional, but you say, why not change who I am now? I know if he knew more, he would have had a better conversation with me. He was of limited capability, or that grandfather was of limited capability, or mother, or whatever. And so they didn't have it in them. They were fighting problems, and they didn't have the right things going on in their life, but they cared about me. So, why not have that conversation? Well, I think that makes you powerful. And seeing, I was thinking of Anthony Robbins' first book I read when I moved to California was Unlimited Power. And he started talking about moving values. And I thought, wow, that's weird. And he said, he was looking for cognitive dissonance where you were having different conflicting values. You want to lose weight, but you want to work out, and you want to eat at the same time, He's like, you got to straighten these out, guy. He's kind of saying this. And he said, you can choose. And I remember thinking, man, I'm not going to change too much. I don't want to lose who I am, to a certain extent. So there was like a tentativeness. Well, okay, I can work a little bit with values and mood. I'll work with moods, but not values, And now we're kind of doing it maybe a little bit unlimited power on steroids when we start doing mind, time, and power. Start looking at your tracks, your train tracks. Like, I never traveled this track, but what about, and that's where regret comes. That's where I'm saying, these emotions, you sit down and say, I think I'll create regret. How can I do that? If I want to create regret, kind of like an actor, Michael, you probably are very in touch with your emotions this way. The director comes up and says, create a, sorrowful face. You got to make yourself cry, or you got to, be regretful, or, jealous, or all these emotions come from different spaces. So you get emotion. Want to be jealous? Think about your loved one with someone else, right? And it's like, oh, there it is. I found it, And so these are all tracks that we can create or not create. And so we see our moods and our emotions and say, man, I'm getting jealous. This guy, he sells more than me. Why am I peevish with him? Is that jealousy? Um, it's like, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you get excited that he knows something and can teach you and go ask for help? Because then you can have more and be happy for him. Do you cheer for are you a good loser? Or are you a bad loser? And do you say, hey, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for your success, your prosperity. How do you do it? He says,
Well,
wow,
if
this
you,
guy,
if,
everybody else is jealous, but Greg's my friend. He says, Greg, come here. I got some tints for you. But
well, if you think about it, there's always going to be people that sell more than you. There's always going to be people that sell less than you.
yeah,
So meeting somebody who is selling more than you this month or this year or whatever, it's just a fact of life. If you made a list of all the people who sell more than you'd probably never finish that list. It would be like a phone book. So you can choose how you feel about that. Like Michael said, there's always a choice, right? So discovering that choice, I mean, that's a huge breakthrough, right? When you
yeah,
talk about having a conversation with your dad and you say, well, people are going to say that's a delusion. Well, yeah, so was Harry Potter. He was a delusion too. So is Stephen King. He's written all kinds of delusional stories and books that have been made into movies. So they're all delusions. The Christmas Carol we just talked about, that's a delusion too. It never happened, right? But think of the value of that story. So yeah, choose your delusions, I guess.
yeah.
That's the
Well, they say we
That's
we
that's
edit we
interesting.
edit
I
and
heard
delete.
I heard sorry, I heard illusion, not delusion. It's interesting. This whole world is an illusion, and it's just like
Yes.
where the projection is. So if you don't like your movie, change your movie. You don't like your
Right.
story, change your story. So what you said there, Greg, you want to have a conversation with your father. Have the conversation with your father because time is not linear. So when you said that, I almost was thinking, God, I'll have a conversation with my father later. It's not. I heard it's an illusion, but it's still some sort of reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's powerful when we
Yeah,
realize that we create our reality, right?
yeah,
I think
yeah,
Timothy was saying, thought forms are a reality of sorts.
yeah,
And I mean, if you want to think about Harry Potter, think about Harry Potter, and if it puts you in a good mood, think about it. If you find yourself sitting there having a terrible day, well, why aren't you thinking of J.K. Rowling or, something pleasant? Think about the Christmas story or think about the spirit of the holidays and, get in the mood. It's like we have the ability to control these. And, I was kind of going back and forth a couple of weeks ago with Anthony as to whether or not he was saying, well, you create your reality. I said, well, some of it you inherit. I inherit Catholic guilt, from my family. I mean, that just goes along with the equation, right? I mean, that's so when you move out of that, you say, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. But it is there, and so a lot of these things that we don't even know, we come from a poverty mindset, or we come from a bad, limited beliefs in the, you can't be an astronaut, you can't be a pilot. Those are things that we're told by other people that are protecting us, but we do have the ability to change that now. You could say I could do whatever I want to do if I change my cone of possibility. Uh, so I don't know. It's really a lot of I like the part about mind, time, and power and unlimited power because it elicits power. You're powerful, and I think that often we feel weak and marginalized and little. I can't do anything about that. That's just the way the external world is. It's like, well, I can put sandals on, my feet don't hurt, type of thing, right? Or you, like the Buddha was, saying the Buddha says, put sandals on your feet, don't repave the world. I mean, we're not gonna, but it can work better. If you have sandals on your feet, you can go over and do chores. I mean, you can't do much if you're, saying ouch each step of the way. But I don't know. I don't know what I know. But that, these are different. That's what I was saying. I'm spending a lot of time musing about this, and I'm like, I'm not wasting time. I'm recreating my creation. you know, and focusing on that acronym of MAGIC. It's the C, consciousness, and it's imagination. Those are integral to coming up with new goals and coming up with a new attitude, motivation. I mean, a lot of that stuff that we're kind of practicing on that Anthony brought out there. Anyways.
Great. Jess, you were going to say something? Oh, I thought you put your hand up there.
She already does this. She's got the joy.
I did, but I forgot what it was, or I don't know. Oh, I know. I was going to talk about making choices like when it comes to family stuff. So for me, I didn't have the greatest feeling towards my mother for a very long time. And in 2020, when everything kind of stopped, my parents used to do a lot of traveling. They couldn't do that. And that particular year was like my dad's 70th birthday, my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, my 50th birthday. And so all these plans that we all had to celebrate kind of came to a screeching halt. But I thought to myself, you know what? What if we did a family road trip? And, I was a little apprehensive at first, thinking, like, what's that going to be like, trapped in a vehicle in a hotel room and whatever with my mom for 5, 6, 10 days, whatever. And it's like, okay, one of two things is going to happen. Like our true characters are going to come out, we're going to have it out, or it's going to be amazing. And it turned out to be the best thing I could possibly have ever done to change that dynamic of our relationship. And we've done it a whole bunch of times since last September. We went to Quebec for 9 days and and it's been great. And now we talk. And when I pick up the phone and she's on the other end, we actually have conversations. Like it's completely so that one moment of decision, Michael, you were saying like you can just change in an instant, right? So when I made that decision, this is what I want to do, it completely changed the trajectory of my relationship with my mom and dad. So it can be done.
Absolument.
That's interesting you say that in an instant, because one of the things I was contemplating too was that it's fast. You can go from here to Mars in a second in your mind, right? You can go from yesterday to today to 10 years ago to China to US. You can move your mind fast either way. And that's why I was saying using it as a time machine. A lot of things you got to walk there. You got to drive there, in the physical world. But in the mental world, you can shift your entire trajectory of your life in a second. What a powerful tool.
And acting on it too, right? A lot of people think about it, but then don't act on it.
Right.
Right. It's like that. I remember back in 2018 or whatever, when I decided I wanted to do my women's conference, I saw an image, I got an idea, and then I instantly acted on it so that I couldn't change my mind. Right. And I think that's people dwell or they ruminate or whatever word you want to use on an idea before they move forward on it. And that I think is also a decision that changes your trajectory, right? You're like, oh, this would have been a great idea, but I didn't act on it. And so now you're adding that, feeling, emotion, negativity about yourself onto what you already feel too, right? So.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at the Buddha, he didn't do a lot of acting. I mean, I'm saying I think you have either one. You can do, but like the Buddha sits there with a smile on his face. You're like, what's the Dalai Lama laughing about?
But that's his choice. He's acting on that choice to sit there and be happy regardless, right?
They crack
jokes. It doesn't have
like
to be this huge outward expression, right?
Yeah. I was watching the one guy, he's just Indian guy, Satu or whatever, but I mean, he had a really great one. I think I put it in the conference. He said, but every time you check your watch, he says, and you're alive, he said, why don't you put a smile on your face? He says, well, when you don't look at your, when you look at your watch and you're dead, he said, I'll forgive you. So he's got humor in his delivery, and I'm not doing a good job of doing it, but I was like, what a neat thing. I mean, every time you look at your watch, realize you're alive and you have another day and another hour to try this all out and to play around. And, that should be enough to make you smile that you're not dead. I mean, we all know people who said, all of you, he said, be happy that none of your friends or relatives died in that hour or, in that day or in that, and today's not the day. Today's not one of those days. you know, that we've all seen people pass and stuff. He said, when you're alive and everybody you love is alive, that's worth a smile. And so he put a little hook to look checking your watch. I was like, what a great thought form. You know, he said, put a smile on your face, would you? I mean, I can't do his voice, but it makes me laugh. I mean, but, you know, he's living in joy. He's living in joy, and he put a reminder. You walk through a doorway or whatever it is, you smile when you walk through the doorway and reset your mood and your attitude. And, you know, I keep trying to remember those things and put things in my life, people that encourage me to do it myself, encourage others to do it. I mean, this is the way I want to live, is that I'm surrounding myself with people that are like, hey, you know, bring the joy, dude. Like, it's like, hey, bring the joy. I mean, it's like, what a great, you know, you have a mantra that you know, you made that. I was thinking that often. You're like, you're the joy girl. Why? Because you chose to be the joy girl. And I was like, what a smart little thing to do. It changes who your identity is.
Well, and once you do it, you have no choice but live up to it, especially when people know it, right? It's like, Joss, come on, you're supposed to be the joy girl, right? Like you live into this new identity because you decided to be it. So
So this is Christmas. Hey, well, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate all you guys for bringing the joy today. I mean, not just the joy, but the, you know, the profound ideas too. So, thanks so much for this, and have a wonderful Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah,
all
thank
of
you, each and one of you. I wasn't planning on coming. Anthony invited me. I looked at it. I joined, and I'm so grateful to have joined and being in this presence. And I mean, I feel great. You know, it feels good. So I want to thank each and every one of you. I really appreciate it.
Great. Nice to see you. Nice
Well,
to see you,
thank
both of you.
too.
You made it a great meeting.
Great to see you, Jess. Greg.
All
yeah,
right.
thank
Michael?
you. It was your email that you sent out that reminded me. It's like, oh, I've got a few minutes. I can do this. So
there you go.
it was the email that triggered me to show up. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful Christmas.
All right, gang.
You too.
Take care.
Bye.
All righty.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We would love to have you join us in this online community for $1 a day. You get your own PDF copy of the book upon which this entire training series is based, along with 2 powerful meditation visualization recordings. You also get a free copy of this Design Your Life workbook and a 4-hour video course that tells you how to use it to change your life step by step. You get lifetime access to all of this on day 1, and you can cancel your registration at any time. Simply go to www.anthonyhamilton.org and click the link to join the online community.